If you knew nothing about the conflict in Ukraine or the reality of today's geopolitics, you'd swear from Tuesday's press conference that Ukraine started the war and wasn't in fact invaded by Russia. You'd also believe that Trump flying out to Alaska to split the travel distance with Putin was some sort of diplomatic coup for our president rather than an odd and, you can almost argue, unnecessary concession to a global pariah. It's this scene-setting, misreading of the moment, and concerning history that has global leaders and diplomats not named Putin worried that Trump is about to get played yet again by the Russian dictator. Now let's first start with the current state of affairs. Putin has not made the military gains in Ukraine that he'd internally promised with his summer offensive. His economy, it's in tatters. His constant humiliation of Trump actually resulted in substantial U.S. sanctions against a major Russian trading partner, India. Europe is aligned against Russia with unanimity not seen in a generation. Russia is in a bad way, and its people are beyond fatigued with a war that has claimed too many of its sons and brothers. So, into this fraught moment for Putin enters his possible greatest lifeline. Yes, Donald Trump. Our president, who promised to end the war in Ukraine on his first day in office, has failed abysmally to deliver peace, and he is desperate for the fighting to stop. Putin, he has shown no sign of compromising his positions, and Trump has indicated a willingness to give him what he wants, namely letting Russia keep its conquered territories, having Ukraine stand down going forward, and bar them from ever being accepted as a NATO member with the corresponding security guarantees. Ukraine would be insane to agree to any such capitulation, and along with all of its European allies, has communicated that these terms are non-starters. But to Trump, who was notoriously embarrassed in Helsinki years ago when he confronted with U.S. intelligence that Putin had interfered with our elections, instead on live TV with Putin over his shoulder said he'd take Vladimir's word for it that there was nothing to see here. Trump, in yet another one-on-one with a guy who plays him like a Stradivarius, runs the risk of hearing what he wants from an actor who's shown no willingness to ever concede an inch. Trump could very plausibly walk away from their meeting repeating Putin's demands as his own, and when the obvious refusal comes from Zelensky, Trump may throw his hands up and say, hey, I'm done here with the conflict and I'm done with our continued support for a beleaguered ally. Comically, but seemingly with real merit, is the belief that Trump's desperate insecurities with Obama extend to the fact that the former president got a Nobel Peace Prize and that Donald obsessively wants one too. Now, I know how ridiculous this sounds when it comes to resolving a global conflict, but consider who we're talking about here. Putin objectively is in a weak position. But if Trump was really the master of the deal like he says he is, he'd realize he's the guy with leverage here, not his man crush in Moscow. When Trump insisted that their initial one-on-one meeting be conditional on a follow-up with Zelensky at the table, Putin said no. Trump immediately backed down. Instead of previewing their summit by rattling off only KGB talking points on Ukrainian concessions, Trump could have said what Moscow would need to do on their end for a lasting peace. Trump could have talked about the possibility of greater sanctions and freezing Russian assets if they continued to breach ceasefire after ceasefire. But instead, he's going to meet Putin halfway around the globe, and his past, if it is prologue, will emerge from their meeting convinced that Trump has somehow authored a breakthrough deal, but more predictably, will just be repeating Putin's ransom demands as his very own. Listen, I hope I'm wrong here, but unfortunately, I doubt that I will be.